Have you ever wondered why only 3% of people achieve their goals, while the rest live in resignation? In the next few minutes, you'll discover how to force yourself to pursue your goals until you turn them into reality. Get ready for an immediate transformation. Most people never reach their goals because they don't understand a fundamental truth. Real commitment is non-negotiable. Napoleon Hill discovered after studying over 500 millionaires that success is never accidental. It's the result of unwavering persistence. Think about it. How many times have you started something enthusiastically only to abandon it at the first sign of difficulty? This happens because you confused interest with commitment. Interest says, "I'll try," commitment says, "I'll do it no matter what." Hill stated that persistence is to character what carbon is to steel. Without that constant fire, your dreams are just passing wishes. Think about the last goal you abandoned. What excuse did you give yourself? Lack of time? Difficult circumstances? The truth is, you hadn't really committed. Let's do an exercise. Think about your most important goal right now. Now, out loud, say, "I commit to achieving this goal regardless of the obstacles I face. I will persist until I succeed." Feel how your energy changes when you move from interest to unwavering commitment. Napoleon Hill discovered that successful people have something in common. They turned their commitment into a positive obsession. They didn't just think about their goals occasionally, they made them the center of their lives. When you positively obsess over a goal, your subconscious mind begins to work even while you sleep to find solutions. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point. When your goal becomes a positive obsession, you activate the power of the subconscious mind. Napoleon Hill called it the chemical laboratory of the mind, where repetitive thoughts transform into concrete plans and actions. The problem is that most people live without clear direction, allowing their minds to wander aimlessly. Think about this. How many hours a day do you consciously dedicate to visualizing and planning your goals? Probably less than 15 minutes. Successful people make their goals the center of their thoughts. It's no coincidence that Thomas Edison slept only 4 hours. His mind was so focused on his inventions that he didn't want to waste time. Hill discovered that whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But this only works when you maintain constant thought on your objective. Your subconscious mind needs clear and repetitive instructions. When you constantly change direction, it's like reprogramming a computer every day with a new operating system. It will never work properly. Do this exercise. Every morning and every night, spend 5 full minutes visualizing your goal as if you've already achieved it. Feel the emotions, imagine the details. Repeat out loud, "My subconscious mind works day and night to turn this goal into reality." Do it for 30 days without missing a single day. The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who don't is that the former develop unbreakable systems. Napoleon Hill observed that victory always goes to the most persevering, but perseverance without a system is like trying to empty the ocean with a cup, exhausting and ineffective. Want to subscribe to this channel? Click the subscription button right now and activate the bell to not miss content that can transform your life. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point. Unbreakable systems are the key to turning your intentions into results. Napoleon Hill described it perfectly. Unorganized plans are common. They fail because they lack a focal point. A system is nothing more than a series of predetermined actions that you execute without question, regardless of how you feel that day. Have you noticed that successful people don't decide each morning whether they're going to work on their goals? They do it automatically, like brushing their teeth. They've eliminated decision from the process. When you have to decide every day whether you'll work on your goal, you're spending valuable mental energy and opening the door to excuses. Hill studied Henry Ford, who revolutionized industrial production with precise systems. Ford left nothing to chance. Every action on his assembly line was calculated for maximum efficiency. Your life needs that same precision if you want extraordinary results. Implement this exercise now. Identify 3 daily actions that bring you closer to your goal. No matter how small they are, they must be specific. Now, assign them an exact time in your day. Don't say, "I'll exercise tomorrow." Say, "I'll run 3 miles at 6 a.m. Specificity eliminates ambiguity and excuses. Napoleon Hill discovered that successful people have another secret. They make decisions quickly and change their minds slowly, if at all. Most people do exactly the opposite. They make decisions slowly and change their minds quickly at the first difficulty. When you firmly decide that you'll reach your goal no matter what, something extraordinary happens. Your brain begins to filter information and opportunities that bring you closer to it. It's as if you had programmed a mental GPS that constantly recalculates the route to your destination, regardless of the detours you encounter. Have you noticed how when you really commit to something, you start seeing related opportunities everywhere? This is not a coincidence, it's your subconscious mind working for you. Hill called it the infinite power, that ability to attract the circumstances and people necessary to achieve your purpose. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point. When you force yourself to pursue your goals, you must understand the law of price. Napoleon Hill expressed it clearly. There's no such thing as something for nothing. Every goal has a price and you must be willing to pay it in advance. The universe doesn't give credit. It demands that you pay first with effort, discipline, and sacrifice before rewarding you. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have luck while you struggle? It's not luck. They're paying prices that you don't see. While you sleep, they're studying. While you entertain yourself, they're building. While you complain, they're looking for solutions. Hill studied Andrew Carnegie, who started as a poor immigrant and became the richest man in the world. Carnegie perfectly understood the law of price and was willing to work tirelessly, living frugally for years while building his empire. He wasn't looking for shortcuts because he knew they don't exist. Do this exercise now. Identify exactly what the price of your most important goal is. Does it require studying 3 hours daily, saving 40% of your income, getting up 2 hours earlier every day? Whatever it is, write it down and say out loud, "I accept paying this price completely, without complaints or excuses, because my goal is worth every sacrifice." The truth that Napoleon Hill discovered is that victory doesn't come to the strongest or fastest, but to whoever believes they can do it. When you commit to paying the price, you develop unwavering confidence that distinguishes you from the 97% who only wish without acting. Think about this. Every obstacle you face is simply a filter that separates the committed from the merely interested. When you see an obstacle and keep going, you're leaving behind hundreds who gave up at that same point. That's why success is rare, not because it's impossible, but because few are willing to overcome all the filters. Hill studied Thomas Edison, who failed more than 10,000 times before inventing the electric light bulb. Edison didn't see these attempts as failures, but as discoveries of what didn't work. Each failure was a necessary step towards success. If you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like it and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Together, we can create a community of people committed to their growth. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point. To force yourself to pursue your goals until you achieve them, you must understand the power of external accountability. Napoleon Hill called it the mastermind principle, the synergy created when 2 or more minds work in harmony toward a defined goal. Why do most people fail in their New Year's resolutions? Because they're private commitments, easy to break when no one is watching. When you publicly declare your goal and surround yourself with people who will hold you accountable, you exponentially multiply your chances of success. Hill studied how Rockefeller, Ford, and other industry titans never acted alone. They created advisory boards, groups of people who provided different perspectives and, most importantly, demanded results from them. They couldn't justify mediocrity when they had to regularly present progress reports. Implement this exercise immediately. Identify 3 people you respect and share your most important goal with them. Ask them to demand weekly progress from you. Establish real consequences for not fulfilling. Perhaps donating money to a cause you hate each time you fail. When the pain of failing exceeds the discomfort of acting, your mind finds ways to overcome any obstacle. The truth that few understand is that your willpower is like a muscle. It strengthens with consistent use, But like any muscle, it has limits and gets tired. That's why you need external structures to keep you on track when your willpower falters. Think about the times you've abandoned important goals. Wouldn't it have been different if you had to explain your abandonment to a group of people you respect? If you had to publicly admit that you preferred comfort to your dream? Hill discovered that success comes to those who become success conscious. When you surround yourself with people committed to excellence, you naturally raise your standards. It becomes impossible to settle for less when you're constantly exposed to what's possible. And that's what we'll talk about in the next point. The fifth and most powerful principle to force yourself to pursue your goals until you achieve them is unbreakable identity. Napoleon Hill observed something fascinating. What a man can create in his imagination, he can create in his life. But the secret lies in who you believe you are, not just in what you believe you can do. Most people try to change their actions without changing their identity, and that's why they repeatedly fail. If deep down you see yourself as an undisciplined person, eventually your actions will align with that identity, no matter how many systems you temporarily implement. Hill studied Roosevelt, who overcame fragile health and partial paralysis to become one of America's most energetic presidents. Roosevelt didn't just decide to act with strength. He decided to become the embodiment of strength. He changed who he was, not just what he did. Have you wondered why some people seem to maintain motivation while you struggle? They don't have more motivation than you. They have a different identity. You don't need motivation to breathe because it's part of who you are. When pursuing your goals becomes part of your identity, discipline becomes automatic. Do this transformative exercise. Complete the phrase, "I am the type of person who," with affirmations that align your identity with your goals. For example, I am the type of person who never breaks a commitment. I am the type of person who does the difficult before the easy. Repeat these affirmations every morning and every night for 67 days. The time that science proves is needed to reprogram your identity. Hill discovered that any idea, plan, or purpose can be fixed in the mind through repetition of thought. When you constantly affirm yourself as the person who has already achieved your goals, your subconscious begins to close the gap between who you are now and who you must be to achieve your objectives. Think about the last time you maintained a positive habit for more than a year. Isn't it true that it eventually became part of who you are? You no longer needed effort to maintain it because it integrated into your identity. That's what you must achieve with all your important goals. Napoleon Hill observed that the mind habituated to determination to achieve definite goals acquires a proportion of that same power. In other words, each time you force yourself to pursue a goal until you achieve it, you strengthen your ability to achieve the next one. Most people abandon their objectives because they expect motivation to last. Motivation is fleeting, like an intense but brief storm. Identity, however, is the constant river that continues flowing long after the storm has passed. Don't chase motivation. Build an unbreakable identity. Think about this. What kind of person do you need to be to naturally achieve your most important goals? What characteristics, habits, and beliefs must that person have? Now, start acting as if you were already that person. As Hill said, act as if you already are what you wish to become. Identity transformation is the most powerful form of change because it operates at the subconscious level. You don't need to constantly remind yourself that you must act a certain way. It simply becomes natural because it's who you are. Now, let's understand the fundamental truth that unifies all these principles. Napoleon Hill expressed it perfectly. The man who knows exactly what he wants and is determined to get it usually gets what he seeks. Clarity of purpose combined with unwavering determination is the infallible formula for achievement. Think of it this way. When you truly commit, when your goal becomes a positive obsession, when you establish unbreakable systems, when you pay the price without complaints, when you surround yourself with accountability, and when you transform your identity, success isn't just possible, it's inevitable. Hill studied hundreds of successful and unsuccessful people and discovered that the only real difference was their absolute commitment to their goals. The successful ones refused to consider alternatives. They had burned the ships like Cortez upon arriving in Mexico, eliminating all possibility of retreat. Have you realized that when you eliminate all your options except success, success becomes your only option? That's when your mind finds solutions that were previously invisible to you. As Hill said, when your desire becomes an obsession, your mind finds ways to make it a reality. Now the time has come for your personal commitment. It's not enough to listen passively. You must declare your intention. Comment below. I choose to force myself to pursue my goals until I achieve them, without excuses or justifications. I commit to becoming the person who deserves the success I seek. This declaration seems simple, but it contains transformative power. By writing it, you're activating the first step toward unwavering commitment. You're declaring to the universe and to yourself that you will no longer accept anything less than total success. Remember, as Napoleon Hill discovered after decades of study, what the mind can conceive and believe and the heart can desire, you can achieve. You are not limited by your current circumstances, but by your level of commitment. If this message has resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, activate the bell, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can create a community of people committed to excellence, people who force themselves to pursue their goals until they achieve them regardless of obstacles. The difference between where you are now and where you could be in a year is not knowledge, it's action. Knowledge without action is like having a treasure map without ever embarking on the journey. Today is the day to begin your journey, to force yourself to pursue your goals until they become your new reality. As Napoleon Hill said, don't wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Your future is waiting for you to make the decision to fully commit. Do it now.